You say Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom to the whole house of Yasha'al. All 12 tribes worldwide. Wherever your feet are touching the soil on this yom. Shabbat Shalom. Peace and blessings. Shalom and barakut to you and your entire house. Shabbat Shalom to the elder Ak, to the elder brother, Yahuda. Shabbat Shalom to the younger brother, Ephraim. Shabbat Shalom to the former Gentile, the former nation, the former foreigner, the former stranger, who was formerly estranged from the everlasting covenant, but having now been engrafted into the olive tree, and having become a fellow citizen of the nation of Yasha'al, whereby having becoming adopted sons and daughters, whereby becoming branches of the olive tree, and now whereby becoming privy to the same everlasting covenant and promise and inheritance which was given to Yasha'al and to Yasha'al alone. Shabbat Shalom to you worldwide, wherever your feet are touching the soil, to the elder brother, Yahuda, that is to say Judah, to the younger brother, Ephraim, that is to say Ephraim, and to the former stranger, the former foreigner, the former nation, the former Gentile, who is no longer a Gentile or a nation or a former or a foreigner or a stranger, but now being a fellow citizen and a fellow partaker of the same everlasting covenant that was given to Yasha'al and to Yasha'al alone. Shabbat Shalom to you, wherever your feet are touching the soil. To those of you who are on YouTube, Barak Yahuwah, who will watch this message later on, we welcome you once again to Yahuwah's remnant, last day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread, Shabbat gathering. Shabbat Shalom to you. Welcome. I am Dawood Ben Yahuwah, and this is my Aisha, Ashayah. Aisha, to those of you who don't understand the language, Aisha is Hebrew or Arabite for wife or woman. Barak Yahuwah, Barak Yahuwah.
Barak Yahuwah, Shabbat Shalom.
Barak Yahuwah, Barak Yahuwah. There is a word from our master this day. There is a word from Yahuwah. And I have warning, and that is that this message is not for vegetarians. This is not a vegetarian meal. You're not going to get a bowl of milk with this message. This message is only for meat lovers. This is strong meat. This is strong meat, and it is only for meat lovers. So if you do not like meat, if you are a vegetarian, then this message is not for you. This message is not for you. But for him or her who has been given eyes to see and ears to hear and a heart to understand, this message may very well save your life. It may very well save your life. If you're taking notes, the title of this message is, You Will Worship Me on This Mountain. You will worship me on this mountain. Behold, I do a great separation. And if you want to put, behold, I have a great separation in quotations, please do so, because those are the words of the master that came directly from his mouth. You will worship me on this mountain, behold, I do a great separation. Behold, I do a great separation. As mentioned in the opening comments, this is not a vegetarian message. It is not a vegetarian message. And so if you are a vegetarian, or if you're still lapping up the milk of the word, this is going to be recorded. And if you have to listen to it more than once, then please do so. please do so, because this is not a message. This is not a vegetarian message, but I pray that Yahuwah would speak his words in such a way, even though that it's not a vegetarian message, that he would speak his words through his servant in such a way that even a babe could understand, that even a babe will be able to digest the meat of this message. Even a babe will be able to digest the meat of this message. Before we get into the message, Abba wants me to preface this message with, I think, 3 scriptures. Is that right, little one?
Yes.
He wants me to preface this message with 3 scriptures. The first of which, I believe, comes from the book of Leviticus, more accurately called Uikra, but commonly called Leviticus, the 23rd chapter and the 4th verse. Leviticus, the 23rd chapter and the 4th verse. I'm going to try to take my time and allow you to follow along because it's a very important message for the nations. It is a message for a muadah, which is to say appointed time. And so I want to take my time with this message, and I pray that Abba will allow me to take my time so that it can be, he can speak articulately through me, such that even a babe can understand and take in what thus says Yahuwah this day. Leviticus, the 23rd chapter and the 4th verse. Uikra, Leviticus, the 23rd chapter and the 4th verse. Reading verse 4 of the 23rd chapter of Leviticus. Read, little one.
These are the appointed times of Yahuwah, Kadush gatherings, which you are to proclaim at their appointed times.
These are the Muadim, which is to say appointed times of Yahuwah. These are the Muadim, the appointed times of Yahuwah. But I bring your attention again to the fact that we are in a Muadah, which is to say appointed time. Yahuwah always operates in appointed times. He never operates outside of appointed times. Even if the appointed time, as it applies to his remnant within the remnant, even if that means that that appointed time is not necessarily written in scriptures, such as to say that you can follow some script, that we can follow some timeline. We spoke about this briefly at Pesach to the Zoom family, and that is that his remnant within the remnant, we cannot measure or guess what he is going to do with respect to his remnant within the remnant. And that is to say that many believe that the gathering of his people has to do with his muadim, with his appointed times. And it does. It does. But as he has shown us, as it applies to his remnant within the remnant, it does not apply. It does not apply. As it applies to us, we know not the day, nor the hour, nor the time in which he's coming to get us. But what we do know, as remnant within the remnant, that the time, and that is that the time of our redemption draws nigh. It is very, very close. It is closer now than it has ever been. If you have any type of discernment or sensitivity to his ruach, then you know and understand that this is a muadah, and he is coming soon. He is coming quickly to get his remnant within the remnant to reward each according to his work. He's coming soon. He's coming soon. So in reading Leviticus 23:4, it says that, and these are the Muadim, the appointed times of Yahuwah. And it goes on to say that these appointed times are Kadush, or Kadush. It is the Hebrew, the Abrahamic word Kadush, For those that don't understand Hebrew or Abarite, this is the word in which most English translations depict as the word holy, as the word holy. Some translations, some English translations have the word set apart here, set apart. And Abba wants to draw your attention to the word kadosh, which is sometimes translated as holy and which is sometimes translated as set apart. Now this word, when looking at the definition, there are several definitions to this word, but more notably this word means it's closely related to sacred, to something sacred and something consecrated, and something clean and undefiled, because Yahuwah is identified as what? As being kadosh, and which some folks say as holy, and which some say as set apart. And there is no uncleanness in him. There is no darkness in him. And so what the most accurate translation of this word kadosh is to mean separated. It means separated. It means separated from darkness. It means separated from everything unclean. It means to be separated from everything contrary to Yahuwah and separated to him. That's what it means. That's what it means. And so as he is kadosh, his appointed times, his muadim are to be kadosh. They are to be sacred, consecrated, separated unto him, separated from all manner of darkness, separated from all manner of uncleanness, separated from all manner of wickedness, and separated unto him. In other words, it is to be a germ-free environment. A germ-free environment. Picture yourself in a quarantine environment, in one of those tents, one of those quarantine tents, one of those white quarantine tents, or one of those white quarantine rooms that is free of germs, that is free of outside influence. This is the idea of kadosh. This is the idea of looking upon his appointed times as being kadosh, as he is kadosh. As there is no darkness in him, there can be no darkness at his kadosh gatherings. In other words, at his set apart gatherings. And as some people still, the majority of people still identify as holy. As holy. More on this later on. More on this key later on. Give us another precept, little one.
Leviticus 26:2.
Leviticus Uikra 26:2. Leviticus, the 26th chapter and the 2nd verse. Uikra. Leviticus, the 26th chapter and the 2nd verse. And the 2nd verse. Reading verse 2. Read, little one.
Guard my Shabbats.
Guard my Shabbats. Now, we're not going to go completely into this word, guard, but guard is the Hebrew. The Hebrew word here, or the Abarite word here, is the Hebrew word shamar. Shamar. It is spelled in the English tongue Shamar. It is broken down into the Hebrew letters Shin, Mem, and Rosh. Shin, Mem, and Rosh. In other words, Shin means to take hold of something, to bite down, as in two front teeth, to take hold of something. Mem is always representative of water, which is always representative of spirit, of ruach. And Rosh is represented by head or beginning. By head or beginning. And so we now automatically know that to shamar it, to guard it, to keep it, is to take hold of something spiritual. is to guard something spiritual, to guard something that is kadush, to guard something as a soldier is guarding something with his very life, to guard something spiritual. Shema, guard my what?
Shabbat.
Guard my Shabbats. Because his Shabbats are spiritual, because he is the Shabbat day. He is the Shabbat. All of the feast days point towards him. All of the feast days, as a matter of fact, are him. They are Barak Yahuwah. All of the feast days are him. They are him. See, we don't get that. We don't understand that. If we understood that all of the feast days are him, that would be more of a reverence. We would kadush them. We would kadush them. There would be more of a reverence, and we would esteem them more if we understood that the feast days are him. They are him. So it says, Shema, guard my Shabbatut, my Shabbats. Guard them. Read.
And reverence my kadush place.
And reverence my kadush place. And reverence my kadush place. More on this as well. Give us another precept, little one.
I am Yahuwah.
I am Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah.
Yahukanan 4:23 and 24.
Yahukanan. John, chapter
4.
Chapter 4.
23 and 24.
23 and 24. John, chapter 4, verses 23 and 24. Yahukanan in the Abarite tongue, in the Hebrew tongue. John, Yahukanan, chapter 4, verses 23 and 24. Verses 23 and 24. Beginning at verse 23.
But the hour is coming.
But the hour is coming and now is. Read.
When the true worshiper.
When the true worshipers, read.
Shall worship the Father in Ruach.
Shall worship the Father in Ruach, that is to say spirit and
truth.
And truth.
For the Father also does seek such to worship him.
For the Father does also seek such to worship him.
Elohim is Ruach.
Elohim is Ruach, a spirit.
And those who worship him.
And those who worship him.
Need to worship in Ruach and truth.
Need to worship in Ruach, in spirit and in truth. Now, I've already told you that all of the feast days, all of the Muadah are Yahuwah. He are the feast. He is the feast days. He is all of them. He is all of them. And the text declares that he is spirit, that he is Ruach. He is the feast days. He is the Muadim, the appointed times. And he is Ruach. He's not flesh and blood. He is Ruach. More on this as well later on as we get into this message. You will worship me on this mountain. You will worship me on this mountain. Behold, I do a great separation. You will worship me on this mountain. Behold, I do a great separation. Turn now to Exodus. Shamut. Exodus. Exodus. In the Hebrew tongue. Shamut. The 3rd chapter. Exodus. In the Hebrew tongue. Shamut. Chapter 3. Beginning at verse 1 and reading through
12.
Reading through verse 12. Exodus. In the Hebrew tongue again. Shamut. Shamut. Shamut means names. Names, the plural of names. The Hebrew, and I don't mean insult anyone's intelligence, but they're more listening to this teaching than those who understand the Hebrew tongue. The Hebrew word for name is Sham. Sham, S-H-A-M. That is the singular meaning of name. Sham. The plural pronunciation of name in the Hebrew or Abarite tongue is Shamot. Shamot. And it makes it plural, which means names. 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 Exodus Shamot, chapter 3, verses 1 through 12. Beginning at verse 1. Read, little one.
And Masha was shepherding the flock of Yathru, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian. And he led the flock to the back of the wilderness and came to Karub, the mountain of Elohim. And the messenger of Yahuwah appeared to him in a flame of fire from the midst of a bush. And he looked and saw the bush burning with fire, but the bush was not consumed. And Masha said, let me turn aside now and see this great sight, why the bush does not burn. And Yahuwah saw that he turned aside to see. And Elohim called to him from the midst of the bush and said, Masha, Masha. And he said, here I am. And he said, do not come near here. Take your sandals off your feet, for the place on which you are standing is Kadosh ground. And he said, I am the Elohim of your father, the Elohim of Abraham, the Elohim of Ishkak, the Elohim of Yaakov. And Masha hid his face, for he was afraid to look at Elohim. And Yahuwah said, I have indeed seen the oppression of my people who are in Mitzrayim. And I have heard their cry because of their slave drivers. For I know their sorrows. And I have come down to deliver them from the hand of the Mitzrites.
Barak Yahuwah, he has heard us. He has heard us. Hallelujah. Yahuwah, he has heard us. Come on, read.
And to bring them up from that land to a good land, spacious land.
Yes.
To a land flowing with milk and honey. To the place of the Canaanites.
Yes.
And the Katites. And the Amorites.
Yes.
And the Perizzites. And the Kawites. And the Yebusites.
Yes.
And now see, the cry of the children of Yasharal has come to me. And I have also seen the oppression with which the Mitzrites oppressed them. And now come, I am sending you to Parah to bring my people, the children of Yasharal,
hallelujah,
out of Mitzrayim. And Masha said to Elohim, who am I that I should go to Parah, and that I should bring the children of Yasharal out of Mitzrayim? And he said, because I am with you.
Yes.
And this is to you the sign that I have sent you.
Wait, and this is the sign that I sent you. This is the Hebrew Abrahamic word Ahuf. Ahuf. The Hebrew letters Aleph, U, and Tar. Aleph, U, and Tar. Aleph is symbolized by an ox, and it means power. It always points towards Yahuwah. The letter U is symbolized by a tent peg or a nail, and its use is to join or affix something. The Hebrew or Abarit letter Tar is representation or a representation of covenant. Of covenant. This is the sign. This is the sign that I send you. I'm in covenant with you. I am in covenant with you. This is the sign that I have sent you. Read.
When you have brought the people out of Mitzrayim, you are to serve Elohim on this mountain.
You are to worship him on this mountain. When you come back here, I'm going to establish an everlasting covenant with you. This is the sign of the covenant that I'm going to establish with you on this mountain on the day of Shabua'u. This is the sign that you are in covenant with me. This is the sign that you are in covenant with me. Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. You are going to come to this mountain and you're going to worship me. And you're going to worship me. Abba has sent his servant by today to speak to whomever has eyes to see and ears to hear and a heart to understand that this has begun. It has begun. He is gathering his people to worship him on a mountain. He is gathering his people to worship him on a mountain. But Elohim is Ruach. Elohim is spirit. Elohim is not flesh and blood. He is Ruach. He is spirit. He is not flesh and blood. But this has begun. It has begun. To whoever have eyes to see and ears to hear and a heart to understand, this has begun. As a matter of fact, he told us right before Sukkot. He said, behold, I do a great separation. And he said something else. He said, it has begun. It has begun. It has begun. Come on, little one. Let Abba give them a little bit more understanding Let him give them a little bit more understanding. Let's take our time with this so that Abba can give them a little bit more understanding. Come on, give us another precept.
Got Exodus 6, 1 through 13.
Exodus chapter 6, verse 1 through 13. Shamut. Exodus chapter 6, verse 1 through 13. Shamut. Exodus chapter 6, verse 1 through 13. Beginning at verse 1. Come on, read, little one.
And Yahuwah said to Moshe, Now see what I do to Parah. But with a strong hand he is going to let them go.
With a what?
With a strong hand he is going to let them go.
With a strong hand he is going to let them go. Write that down, please. With a strong hand he is going to let them go. Now, we briefly talked about this last Shabbat, but Abba wants to add some more meat to it. He wants to add some more meat to this. But please write that down. With a strong hand, I am going to deliver you. He is going to let you go. Come on, read, little one.
And with a strong hand, he is going to drive them out of his land. And Elohim spoke to Moshe and said to him, I am Yahuwah, and I appeared to Abraham, to Ishkak, and to Yaakov as Al Shaddai. And by my name, Yahuwah, was I not known to them. And I also established my covenant with them, to give them the land of Canaan, the land of their sojournings, in which they have sojourned. And I have also heard the groaning of the children of Yasharal, whom the Mitzrites are enslaving. And I have remembered my covenant. Say therefore to the children of Yasharal, I am Yahuwah, and I shall bring you out from under the burdens of the Mitzrites, and I shall deliver you from their enslaving, and I shall redeem you with an outstretched arm and with great judgments, and shall take you as my people, and I shall be your Elohim. And you shall know that I am Yahuwah your Elohim, who is bringing you out from under the burdens of the Mitzrites. And I shall bring you into the land which I swore to give to Abraham, to Ishkak, and to Yaakov, to give it to you as an inheritance. I am Yahuwah. And Moshe spoke thus to the children of Yasharal, but they did not listen to Moshe because of shortness of root and from hard slavery. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, Go in, speak to Parah, sovereign of Mitzrayim, to let the children of Yasharal go out of his land. And Moshe spoke before Yahuwah, saying, The children of Yasharal have not listened to me. And why would Parah listen to me? For I am of uncircumcised lips. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe and to Aharon, and gave them a command for the children of Yasharal and for Parah, sovereign of Mitzrayim, to bring the children of Yasharal out of the land of Mitzrayim.
Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. Before going forward, check your mics, please. Someone, you need to mute your mic, and you're causing a distraction. You're causing a distraction. Mute your mic, please. Mute your mic. Here Abba says, I'm going to deliver you with a strong hand. With an outstretched arm, I am going to deliver you. With a strong hand, I am going to redeem you. And they are going to know that you are my people and I am your Elohim. But the people did not believe Moshe. They did not believe him because of the harsh labor. They did not believe him. They have not believed his servant. They have not believed his servant that our redemption draws nigh. They have not believed his servant that in this season you've got to seek his Ruach, unlike you've ever sought him before, because Yahuwah is Ruach, and those who worship him must worship him in Ruach and in truth. We cannot worship him in the flesh. It is a stench to his nostrils. But he has sent his servant by to give heed to whomever has eyes to see and ears to hear and a heart to understand that this has begun. This has begun. Think not of this in the flesh. I've told you, Yahuwah is not flesh and blood. He is Ruach. Think not of this in the flesh, but look to Ruach. This is strong meat that you're getting ready to get this day. Strong meat to whomever has an appetite for meat. Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. Come on, give us another precept, little one.
Exodus 12, the whole chapter.
Exodus 12. Exodus 12. We're going to kind of skip around. I don't think I'm going to have you to read the whole chapter, but we'll follow the Ruach. But we're going to read now Exodus 12 again. But we're going to read it now. Abba has already given us some meat with respect to Exodus 12. But now he is getting ready to give us a slab, a whole side of beef. Our beef is getting ready, the meat is getting ready to come out of our noses. He's getting ready to give us more meat as it applies to Shammut. Exodus, the 12th chapter. Exodus, the 12th chapter. Beginning at verse 1.
And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe and to Aharon in the land of Mitzrayim, saying, This new month is the beginning of new months for you. It is the first new month of the year for you. Speak to all the congregation of Yasharal, saying, on the 10th day of this new month.
On the 10th day of the first month. On the 10th day of the first month. This day, the 10th day of the first month, is always a Shabbat day on Yahuwah's fixed calendar. It was a Shabbat day then. It is a Shabbat day now. It is always a Shabbat day. Why do I mention this? Because Yahusha came in the volume of the book. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. He came in the volume of the book. On the first month, on the 10th day of that month, which is a Shabbat day, he entered into Jerusalem riding on the back of a donkey. And for those who are Christians who may be listening to this, he did not come on Palm Sunday. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. He came on the Shabbat day. And as was his custom on the Shabbat day, he entered into the Kadush place. And there he drove out the money changers. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. He came in the volume of the book. This was the day in which the lamb was prepared, and this is the day in which the lamb entered into Jerusalem riding on the back of a donkey. Come on, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I had to mention that. Come on, little one, read.
Each one of them is to take for himself a lamb, according to the house of his father, a lamb for a household. And if the household is too small for the lamb, let him and his neighbor next to his house take it according to the number of the beans. According to each man's need, you make your count for the lamb. Let the lamb be a perfect one, a year-old male. Take it from the sheep or from the goats. And you shall keep it until the 14th day of the same new month.
The 14th day of all is always on its fixed calendar, a Wednesday or a fourth day, in accordance with Daniel, the 9th chapter and the 27th verse. And so in coming in the volume of the book, he was offered on the fourth day, which is Passover, 4 days from the Shabbat. You count Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, as they say on the Gregorian calendar. 4 days later from the Shabbat, he was offered on the Passover day. This is not about some lamb chop. This is not about some lamb chop sandwich. This is about Ruach. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. This is about Ruach. This is about spirit. That we are to worship him in spirit and in truth. This is not about some physical food. Come on, read, little one.
Then all the assembly of the congregation of Yasharal shall slay it between the evening. And they shall take some of the blood and put it on 2 doorposts and on the lintel of the houses where they eat it. And they shall eat the flesh on that night, roasted in fire with unleavened bread, and with bitter herbs they shall eat it. Do not eat it raw, nor boiled at all with water, or roasted in fire, its head with its legs and its inward parts. And do not leave of it until morning. And what remains of it until morning you are to burn with fire. And this is how you eat it.
Listen.
Your loins girded, your sandals on your feet, your staff in hand, and you shall eat it in haste. It is the Pesach of Yahuwah. And I shall pass through the land of Mitzrayim on that night, and I shall strike all the firstborn in the land of Mitzrayim, both man and beast. And on all the mighty ones of Mitzrayim, I shall execute judgment. I am Yahuwah. And the blood shall be a sign for you on the houses where you are.
And the blood, the dam, shall be a sign. Here we have the word sign again, the Hebrew word a'uf. This means that it is the dam, the blood, that joins us into covenant with Yahuwah. Now, the word blood in Hebrew, again, for those who do not understand, is the Hebrew word dam. It is comprised of the Hebrew letters Dalet and Mem. Dalet is represented by a door, yes, indicative of the dam of the blood being applied upon the doorpost. Mem is represented by water, which is always a representation of spirit, as in those who believe in the Hamashiach, out of their bellies shall flow rivers of living water. Barak Yahuwah. And so this is dam. It is the blood that connects us into covenant with Yahuwah. It is Ruach which connects us into covenant with Yahuwah. Now, before she goes any further, Abba has sent me by to speak to anyone who have eyes to see and ears to hear and a heart to understand that the Pesach meal, the Pesach gathering, has very little or anything to do with a lamb chop. It has very little to do with unleavened bread. The Pesach meal is Ruach. The Pesach meal is Ruach. The Pesach meal is Yahusha, who is Yahuwah, who is Spirit, who is Ruach. What are you saying, messenger? What are you saying? If you did not partake of Ruach at the Pesach meal, you didn't partake of the Pesach. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. If you did not partake of Ruach, you did not partake of the lamb. The lamb is not flesh and blood. The lamb is Ruach. And if you did not partake of Ruach, you didn't partake of the Pesach meal. Oh, you had much fun. Dancing, celebrating, eating, rejoicing, laughing, enjoying one another, thinking that you partook of the Pesach meal. But if you did not partake of Ruach, of spirit, you have not partaken of Pesach. You have not. You have not partaken of the Pesach meal. The Pesach is slaughtered to separate us from the reign of darkness and to bring us into the marvelous light of Yahuwah. It is the separated spirit as identified by the blood, the dam on the doorpost. It is the separated spirit, him and him alone, who does what? Who separates us from darkness and brings us into the marvelous light of Yahuwah. Only the separated spirit does this. This ain't about a lamb chop. This is Ruach. This is Ruach. This is spirit. And if you did not partake of spirit, of Ruach, you have not partaken of the Pesach lamb. No, you have not. No, you have not. Moreover, if you have not partaken of spirit, if you have not partaken of Ruach, then you have not partaken of unleavened bread. No, you haven't. No, you haven't. Yes, the Ruach is also unleavened bread. Yes, he is. He is also unleavened. And if you have not partaken of Ruach, then you have not eaten. You have not partaken of the Pesach meal. No, you haven't. No, you haven't. And this is what our master is trying to get us to understand. Oh, he's trying to lead us to a mountain. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. But it begins with being separated from Egypt. It begins with being separated from darkness. It begins with being separated from Hashatan, in which the lamb, the Pesach lamb, the Ruach, the separated spirit, with which him and him alone can do. He must do it. He must separate us from darkness. He must separate us from Pharaoh. He must separate us from the kingdom of darkness. If you didn't partake of Ruach, you did not partake of the Pesach lamb. Oh, this is meat. This is strong meat. Those of you who like the letter, this is not for you. This is not for you. Those of you who enjoy the letter, who enjoy the eating and the drinking and the laughter and enjoying one another, this ain't for you. This is not for you. This is for those who enjoy strong meat, whom the master has given eyes to see and ears to hear and a heart to understand. That the worshipers that he seeks are those who worship him in ruach and in truth. And if we did not go to the Pesach gathering, looking to partake of Ruach, which is who the Lamb truly is, then we have profaned his gathering. We have profaned his gathering. He is the center of attention. He, the Ruach, is the center of attention. If he is whom we were not seeking, we have profaned his gatherings. We have profaned it. It's not about some lamb chop. He gives us the letter in order to teach children deeper spiritual matters. If you have not partaken of Ruach, if you did not partake of Ruach, you did not partake of the Pesach lamb, and you have not partaken of unleavened bread. The lamb is spirit. The lamb is Ruach. He is the separated spirit who separates us from the reign of darkness and brings us into his marvelous light. You will worship me on this mountain. Behold, I do a great separation. Yea, the separated spirit is going about separating his people from those who are of the flesh and separating them into his reign of light via his Ruach, via the Pesach lamb, which is the separated spirit. And so this is taking place. It is taking place right now, but it's taking place in the Ruach realm. It is not taking place in the physical. And so if all you enjoyed was the food and the drink and the laughter and the company, then you didn't partake of Pesach. And you profaned his gathering. You profaned his Kadush gathering. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. You profaned it. You profaned it. That's all you got from this. You profaned it. If you did not partake of Ruach, which is the lamb, then you have not partaken of Pesach. You have not partaken of Pesach. Come on, read, little one.
And when I see the blood, I shall pass over you.
When I see the Ruach upon you, the separated Ruach upon you, I shall pass over you. Come on.
And let the plague not come on you to destroy you when I strike the land of Mitzrayim.
Because no plague shall come nigh the dwelling of his covenant people. You ain't in covenant with him if his separated spirit has not entered you as a man enters a woman and entered into covenant with you and circumcised your heart. As a man enters a virgin and the hymen is broken and she is circumcised and she bleeds. If he has not done this, he has not known you. He does not know you, and he is not in covenant with you. Yea, no plague shall come nigh the dwelling of his covenant people, whom he's in covenant with. No plague shall come nigh thy dwelling. Come on, read, little one.
And this day shall become to you a remembrance, and you shall celebrate it as a festival to Yahuwah throughout your generations. Celebrate it as a festival, an everlasting statute. 7 days you shall eat unleavened bread.
7 days you shall eat unleavened bread, and you have not partaken of unleavened bread if you have not partaken of the Ruach at the feast. If you did not partake of Ruach, you have not partaken of unleavened bread. He is the Lakam Shamayim. He is the bread from Shamayim. He is the unleavened bread. If you have not partaken of Ruach, you have not partaken of the bread from Shamayim. You have profaned it. You have profaned it. If you have not partaken of Ruach, you have not partaken of unleavened bread, and you have not partaken of the Pesach, and you have profaned it. It is he, the separated spirit, who separates us from bondage, who separates us from Egypt, who separates us from slavery, who separates us from the kingdom of darkness and brings us into his marvelous light. Egypt has multiple interpretations. Yes, Egypt is the earth, but Egypt is also the flesh, because the flesh is bondage, the flesh is slavery. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And it is the separated Ruach which separates us from the flesh, which separates us from Hashatan. It is the separated Ruach who separates light from darkness. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. It is the separated Ruach who separates light from darkness. This is what Passover is all about. And so if you have not partaken of the separated Ruach, you have not partaken of the Passat. And you have not been separated from darkness and brought into his marvelous light. Come on, little one.
Indeed, on the first day, you cause leaven to cease from your houses. For whoever eats leavened bread from the first day until the seventh day, that being shall be cut off from Yasharal.
You do not partake of leaven. You do not partake of sin. For those of you who are new, leaven is a representation of sin. You do not continue to operate in sin. You do not continue to operate in Egypt after he has delivered you from sin, after he has delivered you from darkness. You then repent and obey his righteous Torah. But you cannot obey his righteous Torah if the Ruach has not written the righteous Torah upon your heart. You ain't partaking of the Passat lamb. You had a lamb chop sandwich and you profaned his feast. You profaned his feast. Yes, you did. You spat on his offering. You spat on his grave. You did not seek him. You did not seek the Ruach. You did not seek him. You did not seek the Passat lamb, which is Ruach, which is the separated spirit. It is not some lamb chop or some piece of bread. It is the separated spirit who gives life. It is him who separates light from darkness. It is he who rescues us with a strong hand, and brings us out of the kingdom of darkness and brings us into his marvelous light. Come on, little one, read.
And on the first day is a Kadush gathering.
Yes.
And on the seventh day,
there's that word Kadush again, consecrated, sacred, separated, with no manner of darkness or uncleanness in it to defile it. Come on, read.
No work at all is done on them. Only that which is eaten by every being.
Yes.
That alone is prepared by you.
Yes.
And you shall guard the festival of Mazat. For on this same day, Matzah, I brought your divisions out of the land of Mitzrayim. You shall guard, Shema. You shall guard the festival of Matzah, of Matzut, which is to say, unleavened bread. For on this same day I brought you out of the land of Egypt. Unleavened, for those who don't understand, is a representation of righteousness. It is a representation of light. It is a representation of Ruach, of spirit. We don't merely walk in unleavened or walk the unleavened path. Listen, we are to be unleavened of ourselves. We are to be unleavened, which is to say the Ruach who is unleavened has entered us in him in us, which makes us unleavened. Yes, it does. It's not just a matter of walking in the unleavened path of sincerity and truth. It is a matter of being unleavened. It is a matter of Ruach. And if you didn't partake of him, you ain't unleavened. And you have not celebrated the feast of unleavened bread. To celebrate it means to partake of Ruach. It means to partake of him because he is unleavened. It means to partake of him. And when we partake of him, the Lakam Shamagim, the bread from heaven, we then become unleavened as he is. This is that great separation in which he's doing. And in doing so in the spirit realm, he is snatching people from the hand of Hashatan, from the kingdom of darkness, and bringing them into his marvelous light, so that that light will lead them to a mountain in which they will worship him. This has begun. Come on, read, little one. And you shall guard this day throughout your generations as an everlasting statute. In the first month, on the 14th day of the new month, in the evening, you shall eat unleavened bread.
You shall eat unleavened bread in the evening. Now we understand, and I will repeat this. that it's celebrated in the evening at dark time, because the lamb is slain at dark at evening, such as to show symbolically that this is the blood that delivers us from the reign of darkness and brings us into his marvelous light. But it is the separated spirit who separates light from darkness, not a lamb chop. Not a physical lamb chop. This is not about a physical meal. This is a spiritual meal, or partaking of a spiritual lamb, or partaking of Ruach, who is the separated spirit who separates us from the reign of darkness and brings us into his marvelous light and causes us to be unleavened, righteous, and to walk in righteousness, to walk in obedience to Torah, which is righteousness. Come on, read, little one.
Until the 21st day of the new month in the evening. For 7 days, no leaven is to be found in your houses.
No sin is to be found in this house. He didn't deliver you from Egypt. He didn't deliver you from sin just for you to return to Egypt. That's just for you to return to the house of bondage, to the house of sin. You spat on his grave. Come on, read, little one.
For if anyone eats what is leavened, that same being shall be cut off from the congregation of Yasharal.
And indeed, if you continue to operate in sin after he has delivered you from sin, your only expectation is punishment and death. Come on, read.
Whether sojourner or native of the land, do not eat that which is leavened in all your dwellings. You are to eat unleavened bread. And Masha called for all the elders of Yasharal and said to them, go out and take lambs for yourselves, according to your clans, and slay the Pesach.
On the first month the 10th day of the month, the same day our Pesach lamb, who is Ruach. Yahusha is Ruach. Yahusha is Yahuwah. He is Ruach. Entered into Yerushalayim riding on the back of a donkey. He came in the volume of the book. It is him that we partake of. It is him that we partake of. And he is not flesh and blood. He is Ruach. Come on, read.
And you shall take a bunch of hyssop and dip it in the blood that is in the basin, and strike the lintel and the 2 doorposts with the blood that is in the basin. And none of you shall go out of the door of his house until morning. And Yahuwah shall pass on to smite the Mitzrites, and shall see the blood on the lintel and on the doorpost. And Yahuwah shall pass over the door, and not allow the destroyer to come into your houses to smite you. And you shall guard this word as a statute for you and your sons forever. And it shall be when you come to the land which Yahuwah gives you, as he promised, that you shall guard this service. And it shall be when your children say to you, what does this service mean to you? Then you shall say, it is the Pesach, slaughtering of Yahuwah, who passed over the houses of the children of Yasharal in Mitzrayim, when he smote the Mitzrites and delivered our households. And the people bowed their head and did obeisance.
But it is the separated spirit, and the separated spirit alone, who separates light from darkness, and who delivers us from the strong hand of Hashatan and brings us into his marvelous light. I say again, Abba says again, if you did not partake of Ruach, you did not partake of the Pesach lamb. Pesach lamb is not a physical meal. Unleavened bread is not a physical bread. We're talking Ruach. We're talking spirit. We're talking spirit. Our ancestors partook of this same lamb and this same unleavened bread, and 600,000 men on foot perished in the wilderness, not counting the women and the little ones. They all died. They all died. They all died eating this lamb, this very same lamb, and this very same unleavened bread. They died. It is the Ruach who gives life. It is the Ruach who gives life. And if we did not enter there, seeking Ruach, seeking the things of Yahuwah, seeking the deeper things of Yahuwah, then we have not partaken of the Pesach meal. We've not had it. Pesach meal is Ruach. It is Ruach. The Ruach is the lamb, and the Ruach is unleavened bread. He is unleavened bread. This has begun. This has begun. It began with Yahuwah drawing Masha to Mount Karab and telling him that this is the sign that you are in covenant with me. I'm going to deliver my covenant people, and I'm going to bring them to this mountain where you will worship me. He goes into Pharaoh, and there were mighty signs and wonders and plagues that we did not go into, that we did not touch. But now we arrive here at Exodus 12, where the last plague, the very last plague happens, and that is death. Indeed, darkness means death. Yes, it does. Darkness means misery. Darkness means death. Darkness is translated as evil. Darkness is translated as chaos and disorder. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And it is the separated Ruach which separates us from death, which separates us from evil, which separates us from darkness, which separates us from chaos and disorder and gives us shalom. Him and him alone. Him and him alone. And if we did not and have not partaken of Ruach, we have not partaken of the Pesach meal. All you have is a full belly. No different than Esau. All you have is a full belly. If you have not partaken of Ruach, if you have not partaken of Ruach, you did not and have not partaken of the Pesach meal, and you have not partaken of unleavened bread. And that means that the separated spirit has not separated you from darkness. And you have profaned his Kadush gathering, which is Ruach. He is the Pesach. He is the gathering. And you have profaned him. If you did not partake of him, you have profaned him. Go down now, little one. Skip down to no stranger who is uncircumcised shall partake of the Pesach lamb.
Okay, it's 43.
Barak Yahuwah. Read.
And Yahuwah said to Moshe and Aharon, this is the statute of the Pesach. No son of a stranger is to eat of it.
No son of a stranger is to eat of it.
But any servant a man has bought for silver, when you have circumcised him, then let him eat of it.
When you have circumcised him, then he may eat of it. The Pesach, the Passover, is for all of mankind. It is for all of mankind. But mankind must enter into covenant with him via the sign of the covenant, which is the circumcision. Not one made with flesh, but the circumcision of the heart. And this can only happen when the separated spirit, when the separated Ruach enters the heart and circumcises the heart, as a man enters a virgin, and a split and a cut is made, and she bleeds, and he enters into covenant with her. This is only for his covenant people. This is only for those who have partaken of the Pesach. Who have partaken of the Pesach. The circumcision is indicative of you have already partaken of the Pesach. And so you must already partake of the spiritual Pesach before partaking of the physical Pesach, in which the spiritual Pesach is the only one that counts. It's the only one that counts. Bread and water, food, drink, it's not going to save us. The letter is going to kill us dead. The letter is going to kill the partaker dead. If that person is not operating in Ruach, if that person doesn't understand the spirit, then the letter is going to kill them dead. The letter will have you showing up, conducting and participating in all manner of foolishness and uncleanness at his Kadush gathering. Not seeking the Ruach, not understanding that the Pesach is Ruach, and that unleavened is Ruach. It is spirit. Come on, read, little one.
45.
Okay.
A sojourner and a hired servant does not eat of it. It is eaten in one's house. You are not to take any of the flesh outside the house, nor are you to break any bone of it. All the congregation of Yasharal are to perform it. And when a stranger sojourns with you and shall perform the Pesach to Yahuwah, let all his males be circumcised, and then let him come near and perform it. And he shall be as a native of the land, but let no uncircumcised eat of it. There is one Torah for the native born and for the stranger who sojourns among you.
One Torah for both the native born and the stranger. There's one Torah for the entire earth. One Torah for all mankind. This is the whole duty of mankind, to obey his righteous instructions. Come on, little one.
And all the children of Yasharal did as Yahuwah commanded Moshe and Aharon, so they did. And it came to be on that same day that Yahuwah brought the children of Yasharal out of the land of Mitzrayim according to their divisions.
Barak Yahuwah. Come on, continue with us. Continue with us on this spiritual journey. We're not talking about the letter here. We're not talking about milk. We're talking about the truth of what this points towards. We're talking about Ruach. And that if you have not partaken of the Ruach, if you did not partake of Ruach, you have not partaken of the Pasach. And if you have not partaken of Ruach, you have not partaken of unleavened bread. No, you haven't. No, you haven't. Come on, let's continue this journey, because there's nothing new under the sun. It began with him speaking to his servant Moshe, saying, I'm sending you to get my people, to bring them out of Mitzrayim, to bring them to this Kadesh mountain where you will worship me. It ended up in Exodus 12 with the Passover being celebrated. But it sent me by to once again remind you that the Passover, that the Pasach is not physical. The Passover is Ruach. It is spirit. And if you are not partaken of spirit, if you have not partaken of Ruach, you have not partaken of the Pasach. You have not partaken of unleavened bread. Come on, continue with us as we continue this journey. Come on, read, little one.
We have Genesis 1 through 5.
Genesis, Barshith in the Hebrew. Genesis chapter 1, verse 1 through 5. Genesis chapter 1, verses 1 through 5. Barshith. Genesis chapter 1, verses 1 through 5. Verses 1 through 5. Beginning at verse 1. Come on, read, little one.
In the beginning, Elohim created the heavens and the earth.
Yes.
And the earth came to be formless and empty.
And the earth came to be formless and empty.
And darkness was on the face of the deep.
And darkness was on the face of the deep. Indeed, this is about being delivered from darkness and being brought into his marvelous light. Yes, it is. This is what Passover is all about. Now, this word for darkness is the Hebrew word kashak. Kashak. And indeed, again, it means darkness. It means evil. It means misery. It means corruption. It means lawlessness. It means chaos and disorder. It means evil. It means evil. Indeed, Hashatan is evil. Hashatan is darkness. Hashatan is the prince of darkness. This is about being delivered from the prince of darkness. This is about being delivered from darkness and brought into his marvelous light. Not by a lamb chop, by a separated spirit. Come on, read, little one.
And the Ruach of Elohim was moving on the face of the water.
Listen, and the Ruach, the spirit of Elohim, was moving, was hovering over the face of the waters. It was hovering over darkness. He was hovering over darkness. What did he do, little one?
And Elohim said, let light come to be.
Let there be light. Come on.
And light came to be.
And light came to be.
And Elohim saw the light that it was good.
And Elohim saw that the light was good.
And Elohim separated the light from the darkness.
Elohim did what?
Separated the light from the darkness.
He did what?
Separated the light from the darkness.
He separated the light from the darkness. He separated good from evil. Behold, I do a great separation. And it ain't by a lamb chop. It is by the same separated spirit that separated light from darkness here. It is by the same separated spirit, the same separated Ruach that separated light from darkness here. This is what Passover is all about. Hashatan is darkness. He is the prince of darkness. And a lamb chop won't deliver us from him. If we have not partaken of the separated Ruach, then we have not been separated from darkness. And we have not partaken of the Pasach lamb or of unleavened bread. Come on, read, little one.
And Elohim called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And there came to be evening, and there came to be morning one day.
This is about the separation of light from darkness. This is what Passover, Pesach, is all about. And only the separated spirit separates, as we've just read, separates light from darkness. If you have not partaken of him, you're still in darkness. You're still in darkness. You still belong to the prince of the power of the air. You still belong to the prince of darkness. And you have not truly partaken of the Pesach lamb. It's not about a lamb chop or a food and a drink. It is Ruach. These are the ones. These are the ones that he looks upon to worship him. These are the ones of whom he seeks. Come on, little one, read.
We got Leviticus 20, 1 through 8.
Leviticus 20. Leviticus 20. Leviticus 20, 1 through 8. Leviticus 20, 1 through 8. How are we looking for time, little one?
105.
Oh, Barak Yahuwah. We're going to take our time, though. We're going to take our time. Leviticus chapter 20, verses 1 through 8. Come on, continue with us on this spiritual journey. Leviticus chapter 20, verses 1 through 8. Beginning at verse 1. Come on, read, little one.
And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, say to the children of Yasharal, any man of the children of Yasharal, or of the strangers who sojourn in Yasharal, who gives any of his offspring to Malak, shall certainly be put to death. The people of the land shall stone him with stones, and I shall set my face against that man, and shall cut him off from the midst of his people, because he has given of his offspring to Malak, so as to devour my Kadush place and to profane my Kadush name. And if the people of the land at all hide their eyes from the man, as he gives any of his offspring to Malak, and they do not kill him, then I shall set my face against that man and against his clan, and shall cut him off. And all who go whoring after him, even go whoring after Malak, from the midst of their people. And the being who turns to mediums and to spiritists and to go whoring after them, I shall set my face against that being and cut him off from the midst of his people. And you shall set yourselves apart and shall be Kadush, for I am Yahuwah your Elohim. And you shall guard my statutes and do them. I am Yahuwah who separates you.
I am Yahuwah who separates you. He is Ruach. He is not flesh and blood. It is he and he alone who separates us from darkness, not some lamb chop. And if we have not partaken of him, if we have not partaken of Ruach, we have not partaken of the Pesach lamb. No, we have not. No, we have not. And we have profaned his Kadush gathering. Oh, come with us on a journey, because this is happening. This spiritual journey is happening right before our eyes, not according to the flesh, not according to the letter, but according to Ruach. He is separating his people. Behold, he is doing a great separation, and he is leading a people whom he has separated to worship him on this Kadush mountain. It has begun. It has begun. Not according to the flesh, not according to the letter, but according to the Ruach. It has begun. It has begun. Come on, read, little one.
You have Matthew 12, 24 to 32.
Matthew 12, verse 24 to 32. Matthew 12, verse 24 to 32. Matthew 12, verses 24 to 32. Beginning at verse 24. Come on, read, little one.
But when the Pharisees heard it, they said, this one does not cast out demons except by Beelzebub, the ruler of demons. And Yahusha knew their thoughts and said to them, every reign divided against itself is laid waste, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. And if Hashatan cast out Hashatan, he is divided against himself. How then does his reign stand? And if I by Beelzebub do cast out demons, by whom do your sons cast them out? Because of this they shall be your judges. But if I cast out demons by the Ruach of Elohim,
but if I cast out demons by the Ruach, by the Spirit of Elohim,
then the reign of Elohim has come unto you.
Then the reign of Elohim has come upon you. Come on, read.
Or who is one able to enter a strong man's house?
Who is he able to enter a strong man's house? Indeed, by a strong hand, a strong right hand, he redeems. He redeems his children from the reign of darkness, from the hand of Hashatan, and brings them into his marvelous light. This is not about a lamb chop. This is not about a piece of bread. This is Ruach. If we have not partaken of Ruach, we have not partaken of the Pasach lamb, and we have not partaken of unleavened bread. And we're still a prisoner in darkness. We still are in Egypt. We still are servants of the prince of darkness, of Hashatan, which is to say, the devil, to those of you who don't understand. Come on, read, little one.
And plunder his goods, unless he first binds the strong man.
Unless he first binds him.
And then he shall plunder his house. He who is not with me is against me, and he who does not gather with me scatters abroad. Because of this I say to you, all crime and blasphemy shall be forgiven men, but the blasphemy against the Ruach shall not be forgiven men. And whoever speaks a word against the son of Adam, it shall be forgiven him. But whoever speaks against the Kadosh Ruach, it shall not be forgiven him, either in this age or in the age to come.
Oh, don't profane the Kadosh Ruach. Don't profane the Kadosh Ruach. Don't reject the Kadosh Ruach. Don't come to Pasach not seeking him, because he is the Pasach. Yes, he is. He is unleavened bread. Yes, he is. If you ain't there to seek him, who is the Pasach, who is unleavened bread, who is the separated spirit, who separates us from the kingdom of darkness and brings us into his marvelous light with a strong right hand, he being stronger than the strong man, who is Hashatan, coming in to bind him, and with a strong right hand, delivering us and snatching us from the reign of darkness and bringing us into his marvelous light. Behold, he is doing a great separation. He is doing a great separation. It has begun. It has begun all over again. It has begun, unlike ever before, as he spoke before earlier in the preface of this message, that this is a mu'adah. This is an appointed time. This is an appointed time, and it has begun. It has begun. Come on, read, little one.
You got 2 Corinthians 3:17.
2 Corinthians 3:17. 2 Corinthians 3:17. What I'm going to do now, we're still going to take our time, but we're going to call out the scriptures, and we're going to give you an opportunity to write them down for the sake of time, but we're still going to take our time. We're going to pick this up just a little bit. 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 17. Read, little one.
Now Yahuwah is the Ruach.
Now Yahuwah is the what?
Now Yahuwah is the Ruach.
Now Yahuwah is the Ruach. Yahuwah is the Ruach. Yahuwah is the Pasach lamb. Yahuwah is the separated spirit. It is he who separates light from darkness. It is he who sets free. It is he who sets the captives free, who releases the captives from the bondage of Egypt, from slavery, and brings them into his marvelous light. Come on, read, little one.
And where the Ruach of Yahuwah is, there is freedom.
There is freedom. There is freedom. This is about separating light from darkness. This is about separating the prisoners free from darkness and bringing them into his marvelous light, bringing them out of Egypt, bringing them out of bondage, and bringing them into his marvelous light. Not via a lamb chop, not via physical blood, but via Ruach. Via Ruach. The dam is Ruach. The lamb is Ruach. The unleavened bread is Ruach. It's all spirit. And if we did not partake of Ruach, if we did not partake of spirit, we have not partaken of the Pasach, and we have not partaken of unleavened bread. No, we haven't. No, we haven't. But he has good news. Well, yes, he has good news. Although the day was the last day of unleavened bread, we are supposed to be unleavened. We are supposed to be unleavened. And that happens when the Ruach, who is unleavened, enters us. And upon doing so, we still partake of the Pasach. Yes, we do. We still partake of the Pasach. Even though the Pasach has passed, we still partake of the Pasach, because the Pasach is Ruach. And he is the Elohim of the repenter. He is the Elohim of the repenter. He loves the repenter. He loves the repenter. And so for those who have eyes to see and ears to hear, there's still an expectation, there's still a hope. You can still repent. Now that you understand. Now that you understand. And for those who are under the sound of my voice, now that you understand, you can never do this again. Because all of the feasts are Ruach. All of them are Ruach. And if you don't go there seeking Ruach, you're there for the wrong reason. And you're not partaking of the feast. They are all Ruach. All of the feast days, all of the appointed times are Ruach. He's giving you a chance, all those who are under the sound of my voice, to repent, to tashuba, and to never do this again. To understand that the lamb is not some lamb chop. It is Ruach. The bread is not just a piece of bread. It is Ruach. It is Ruach. The blood is Ruach. It is all Ruach. It is the separated spirit who snatches us, who separates light from darkness, who delivers us from darkness and places us in the reign of light on the unleavened path, which is to lead us to the mountain where we shall worship him. This has begun. It has begun. Come on, read, little one.
We have Romans 14, 17 through 18.
Romans 14, 17 and 18. Romans 14, 17 and 18. Romans 14, 17 and 18. Read, little one.
For the reign of Elohim is not eating and drinking.
The reign of Elohim is not eating and drinking.
But righteousness.
And
shalom. And joy.
And joy.
And the Kadosh Ruach.
And the Kadosh Ruach.
For he who is serving Mashiach.
Yes.
In these matters.
Yes.
Is well pleasing to Elohim.
Barak Yahuwah.
And approved by men.
Barak Yahuwah. So in other words, the reign of Elohim is Ruach. It is Ruach. It is not in eating and drinking. It is Ruach. The Pasach lamb is Ruach. The bread is Ruach. The reign of Elohim is not in eating and drinking, laughing and joking. It is Ruach. It is seeking Ruach, who is the feast, who is the Pasach lamb, who is the unleavened bread, who is the separated spirit, who separates light from darkness. Come on, read, little one.
We got 1 Corinthians 5, 1 through 8.
1 Corinthians 5. 1 Corinthians 5, verses 1 through 8. 1 Corinthians 5, verses 1 through 8. 1 Corinthians 5, verses 1 through 8. Beginning at verse 1. Come on, read, little one.
It is commonly reported that there is whoring among you.
Yes.
And such whoring as not even named among the nations.
Yes.
So as one to have his father's wife.
Yes.
And you have been puffed up and did not rather mourn. So that he who has done this deed be removed from among you. For I indeed, as absent in body but present in root, have already judged the one who did this, as though I were present. In the name of our Master Yahushua Mashiach, when you are gathered together in my root with the power of our Master Yahushua Mashiach, deliver such a one to Hashatan for destruction of the flesh, in order that his root be saved in the day of the Master Yahushua. Your boasting is not good. Do you not know that a little leaven leavens the entire lump?
That a little sin spoils the whole lump. Come on.
Therefore cleanse out the old leaven.
Therefore cleanse out the old leaven. Therefore cleanse out the old sin. Come on.
So that you are a new lump.
So that you are a new lump.
As you are unleavened.
As you are unleavened. I told you, we are supposed to be unleavened as he is unleavened. Him and us and him. It's not about eating a piece of bread. It's not about walking the unleavened path of sincerity and truth. It is about being unleavened. If we are unleavened, then we have no choice but to walk the unleavened path of sincerity and truth. And we are unleavened because he is unleavened, because we have partaken of Ruach. We are partaken of the living bread. We are partaken of Ruach. And if we are partaken of Ruach, then we have partaken of the feast of unleavened bread. Then that makes us unleavened. That's the goal. for us, for you and I, to be unleavened, not to simply eat a piece of matzah, a piece of bread, but to eat ruach, to take in ruach, to take in Yahusha, so that we are unleavened as he is unleavened, so that we are perfect as he is perfect. Come on, little one.
For also Mashiach, our Pesach, was slaughtered for us.
Mashiach, our Pesach, was slaughtered for us.
So then let us celebrate the festival, not with old leaven, nor with the leaven of evil and wickedness, but with the unleavened bread of sincerity and truth.
With the unleavened bread of sincerity and truth. Yahusha is our Pesach. He is not flesh and blood. He is Ruach. He is Yahuwah. To partake of him, to partake of the lamb, he's also the bread. To partake of him is to partake of Ruach. If we have not partaken of Ruach, if we did not partake of Ruach, if that wasn't the main objective, if that wasn't center stage, then we have profaned this feast. And you have not partaken of the Pesach, and you have not partaken of unleavened bread. No, we are to be unleavened. And we are unleavened when we partake of unleavened, which is the Ruach HaKadosh, which is the separated spirit, who separates us from darkness and causes us to be unleavened, who causes us to be righteous, and who causes us to operate in righteousness. This is the great separation that is going on in the earth. And he sent his servant. He sent his servant to declare to whomever have eyes to see, ears to hear, and a heart to understand. He's calling you. He's calling you to his mountain, to his Kadosh mountain. This is happening all over again, where we will worship him. But only his covenant people, only those who are in covenant, only those who are unleavened, only those who have truly partaken of the Pesach and have truly partaken of unleavened bread. These are those that he's calling to his Kadosh mountain. These are those. Indeed, our ancestors partook of the Pesach. They partook of unleavened bread, and they went to a mountain to worship him. But they couldn't come near the mountain. We're going to read that. They couldn't come near it. He's calling us on a spiritual journey to understand what this points towards and what it truly means, and to be reborn of Ruach, to truly partake of the Pesach lamb, to truly partake of unleavened bread, so that we are unleavened, so that he delivers us, separates us from darkness, and brings us to his Kadosh mountain. This is happening all over again. All over again. It's happening. Come on, read, little one.
Yeah, 1 John 1, 1 through 7.
1 John 1, 1 through 7. 1 John 1, 1 through 7. 1 John 1, 1 through 7. Beginning at verse 1, read, little one.
What was from the beginning?
Yes.
What we have heard?
Yes.
What we have seen with our eyes?
Yes.
What we have looked upon?
Yes.
And our hands have handled?
Yes.
Concerning the word of life?
Yes.
And the life was manifested?
Yes.
And we have seen?
Yes.
And bear witness?
Yes.
And announce to you that everlasting life which was with the Father and was manifested to us. We announce to you what we have seen and heard, so that you too might have fellowship with us. And truly our fellowship is with the Father and with his Son Yahushua Mashiach. And we write this to you in order that your joy might be complete. And this is the message which we have heard from him and announced to you, that Elohim is light.
Elohim is light. He is light. He is unleavened. The festival of unleavened bread begins when it is daylight. He is unleavened. He is light. He is the Pesach lamb. He is the unleavened bread. He is the separated spirit that separates light from darkness. Darkness can have no place in him. Darkness has no part in him. He is light who separates light from darkness. Come on, read.
And in him is no darkness at all. If we say that we have fellowship with him and walk in darkness, we lie and are not doing the truth. But if we walk in the light as he is the light, we have fellowship with one another. And the blood of Yahushua Mashiach, his son, cleanses us from all crime.
Cleanses us from all crime. Passover, Pesach, is about the separation of light from darkness. As in the very beginning, it's about the separation of light from darkness. and which the separated spirit alone can do. And it is he who is the Passover lamb. It is he who is unleavened bread. And it is he whom we must partake of in order to be delivered from the kingdom of darkness and brought into its marvelous light, whereby becoming unleavened, whereby we will have a passage. He will lead us to his Kadosh mountain. It is happening all over again. Come on, read, little one.
We got YAHUAH'S 6:31 to 71.
John 6.
31 to 71.
John, the 6th chapter. John, the 6th chapter. Beginning at verse 31. Reading down through verse 71.
Yes.
John, the 6th chapter. Beginning at verse 31. Reading down through verse 71. Let's get some more meat. Let's get some more meat. John, chapter 6. Beginning at verse 31. Reading down through verse 71. Let's get some more strong meat. Passover is not about eating and drinking. The reign of Elohim is not about eating and drinking. It is about Ruach. It is about Ruach. The Pesach is Ruach. The unleavened bread is Ruach. Yahusha is Ruach. Yahusha is Yahuwah. He is Ruach. The unleavened bread is Ruach. It is the bread that comes down from heaven. Beginning at verse 31 of John chapter 6. Reading down through verse 71. Come on, read, little one.
Our fathers ate the manna in the wilderness.
Our fathers ate the bread in the wilderness.
And it has been written.
As it has been written.
He gave them bread out of the heaven to eat. Therefore Yahusha said to them.
Yes.
Truly, truly, I say to you.
Yes.
Masha did not give you the bread out of heaven. But my Father gives you the true bread out of heaven.
Yes.
For the bread of Elohim is he who comes down
For
out
the
of heaven.
bread of Elohim is he who comes down from heaven. Come on.
And gives life to the word.
And gives life. And gives life. The Ruach gives life. Come on, read.
So they said to him, Master, give us this bread always. And Yahusha said to them, I am the bread of life.
I am the bread of life. I am unleavened bread. I am the Pesach. I am he. I am Ruach. If you ain't partaken of me, of Ruach, you have not partaken of me, and you have no part in me. You have not partaken of my Pesach if you have not partaken of Ruach. No, you haven't. No, you haven't. Come on, read, little one.
He who comes to me shall not get hungry at all. And he who believes in me shall not get thirsty at all. But I said to you that you have seen me and still do not believe.
Yes.
All that the Father gives me shall come to me. And the one who comes to me I shall by no means cast out. Because I have come down out of heaven, not to do my own desire, but the desire of him who sent me. This is the desire of the Father who sent me, that all he has given me I should not lose of it, but should raise it in the last day. And this is the desire of him who sent me, that everyone who sees the Son and believes in him should possess everlasting life.
Shall possess Ruach. Come on.
And I shall raise him up in the last day. Therefore the Yahudim were grumbling against him, because he said, I am the bread which comes down out of heaven.
Oh, come on, read.
And they said, is not this Yahusha, the son of Yahusaf, whose father and mother we know?
Yes.
How is it then that he says, I have come down out of heaven? Then Yahusha answered and said to them, do not grumble with one another. No one is able to come to me unless the Father who sent me draws him. And I shall raise him up in the last day. It has been written in the prophets, and they shall all be taught by Yahuwah. Everyone then who has heard from the Father and learned comes to me.
Yes.
Not that anyone has seen the Father except he who is from Elohim.
Yes.
He has seen the Father.
Yes.
Truly, truly, I say to you, he who believes in me possesses everlasting life. I am the bread of life.
I am the bread of life. I am the unleavened bread. I am the Pesach. He is Ruach. He is Ruach. If we did not partake of Ruach, we have not partaken of him. We did not partake of the Pesach or the unleavened bread. Come on, read.
Your fathers ate the manna in the wilderness and they died.
Your fathers ate the bread, ate the manna in the wilderness, and they died. He told you that. 600,000 of them ate unleavened bread for 7 days and ate the Pesach lamb, and they died because they did not partake of Ruach. They did not understand what the feast pointed towards, what it meant. That these are merely instructions to teach you, my dear children, the deeper spiritual matters that will save your lives. Come on, read.
This is the bread which comes down out of heaven, so that anyone might eat of it and not die. I am the living bread which comes down out of heaven.
I am the living bread. I am the Lakam Shamayim. I am the unleavened bread. If you ain't partaken of him, you ain't partook of unleavened bread. Come on.
If anyone eats of this bread, he shall live forever. And indeed the bread that I shall give is my flesh, which I shall give for the life of the world.
Yes.
The Yahudim therefore were striving with one another, saying, how is this one able to give us flesh to eat? Yahusha therefore said to them, truly, truly, I say to you, unless you eat the flesh of the son of Adam,
unless you eat the flesh of the son of Adam, the Passover lamb, come on,
and drink his blood,
you
possess no life in yourselves.
You possess no life in yourselves. Unless you eat of Ruach. Unless you eat of Ruach. He is Ruach. You have no life in yourselves, and you have no part in him. He is Ruach. And you have not partaken of the Passover lamb. You have not partaken of the feast of unleavened bread. Come on, read, little one.
He who eats my flesh and drinks my blood possesses everlasting life.
Yes.
And I shall raise him up in the last day.
Yes.
For my flesh is truly food, and my blood is truly drink.
Yes.
He who eats my flesh and drinks my blood stays in me, and I in him.
They stay in me, and I stay in him. This is about the partaking of Ruach. Us and him and us. This is the true Passover lamb. This is the true unleavened bread, the bread that came down from heaven. This is the true bread. It is Ruach. If you did not partake of that, you profaned his gathering. If he was not the center, you profaned his gathering. And you have not truly partaken of Pesach or of the feast of unleavened bread. Come on, little one.
As the living Father sent me, and I live because of the Father, so he who feeds on me shall live because of me.
Yes.
This is the bread which comes down out of heaven. Not as your fathers ate the manna and died. He who eats this bread shall live forever.
Yeah.
He said this in a congregation, teaching in Capharnaum. Therefore many of his taught ones, having heard, said, this word is hard. Who is able to hear it? But Yahusha, knowing within himself that his taught ones were grumbling about this, said to them, does this make you stumble? What if you see the son of Adam going up where he was before? It is the root that gives life.
It is the root that gives life. I told you he's talking about Ruach. Ruach, spirit. The Ruach is the Passover lamb. The Ruach is unleavened bread. It is he who separates light from darkness, in which Passover is all about. If we did not partake of Ruach, we have not partaken of the Passover lamb or of unleavened bread. He sent his servant to speak to whomever has eyes to see and ears to hear and a heart to understand. And if you do, he wants to lead you to his Kadosh mountain where we will worship him. Where we will worship him. It's happening all over again. This is an unprecedented time. This is a muadah, an appointed season, unlike we've ever seen before. Come on, read, little one.
The flesh does not profit at all.
It is the Ruach that gives life. The flesh profits nothing. That lamb chop sandwich, that roasted lamb, all those goodies that we had at Pesach, it means nothing. Our ancestors, they had goodies too. They celebrated the Pesach, but they died. They died because they did not understand what you and I understand now. What the Master is speaking to you now. They did not understand that it is the Ruach who gives life. It is the separated Ruach who gives life. He is the Passover. He is unleavened bread. It is he, the separated spirit, who separates us from darkness, who separates us from Egypt, who separates us from the hand of Hashatan. One stronger than him must come in with a strong right hand and deliver us from Pharaoh, deliver us from the reign of darkness, and bring us into its marvelous light. Come on, read, little one.
The words that I speak to you are Ruach and are life.
The words that are being spoken to you are Ruach and life. The words that are being spoken to you on this day are spirit and life. They are spirit and life. Come on, read, little one.
But there are some of you who do not believe. For Yahusha knew from the beginning who they were who did not believe, and who would deliver him up. And he said, because of this, I have said to you that no one is able to come to me unless it has been given to him by my Father. From then on, many of his taught ones withdrew and were not walking with him anymore. Yahushua therefore said to the 12, do you also wish to go away? Then Shimon Kapha answered him, Master, to whom shall we go? You possess words of everlasting life, and we have believed, and we know that you are the Mashiach, the Son of the living Elohim. Yahushua answered him, have I not chosen you, the 12? And one of you is a devil. He was now speaking of Yehuda from Karauf, the son of Shamaun, for he, one of the 12, was about to deliver him up.
So it began, this journey today began with Yahuwah calling Masha up to the top of that mountain, telling him that he had chosen him, and that he was going to send him into Egypt to get his people, to call his people out of darkness into his marvelous light, and to bring them back to that mountain where they would worship him, where his covenant people would worship him. It goes on to Exodus 12, where they celebrated the first Pesach, where they roasted physical lamb, where they applied the dung, the blood, to the doorpost, where they ate unleavened bread for 7 days. They walked in unleavened bread, not understanding what it meant. They partook of the lamb, not understanding what it meant. They applied the dung, not understanding what it meant. And they came out, a great multitude left Egypt, left Masraim, 600,000 men on foot, not counting the women and the children and the little ones, a great multitude. But a great multitude is not leaving when he comes to get his remnant within the remnant. 144,000 is the number, plus those that are joined or affixed to them. But this is being played out all over again. And he drew them out of Egypt and brought them to his Kadesh mountain. He brought them to his Kadesh mountain to worship him and to enter into a covenant with him, to enter into an everlasting covenant with him. He brought them there. He brought them there. Keep going with us as we continue this journey. As we continue this journey, because this journey is taking place right before our eyes in the Ruach realm. It is taking place for those who have eyes to see and ears to hear and a heart to understand. Come on, read, little one.
We have Romans 8, 1 through 15.
For the sake of time, we're going to skip that.
Okay.
We're going to skip that.
Then we got Exodus 13, 1 through 13.
Exodus chapter 13, verses 1 through 13. Exodus chapter 13, verses 1 through 13. Exodus chapter 13, verses 1 through 13. Beginning at verse 1. Come on, read, little one.
And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying,
Yes.
Kadush to me all the firstborn.
Separate unto me all the firstborns. Indeed, behold, a great separation has begun and is taking place in the midst of the earth. Firstborn, according to his spirit, according to Ruach. Firstborn, who understand the words that are being spoken from the mouth of his servant, and who have partaken of Ruach, who have truly partaken of his Pasach and unleavened bread. Separate unto me all the firstborn, both of man and beast. Come on, read.
The one opening the womb among the children of Yasharal, among man and among beasts.
Yes.
It is mine.
Yes.
And Moshe said to the people, remember this day in which you went out of Mitzrayim, out of the house of slavery. For by strength of hand Yahuwah brought you out of this place. And whatever is leaving shall not be eaten. Today you are going out in the new month of Abib. And it shall be when Yahuwah brings you into the land of the Canaanites, and the Katites, and the Amorites, and the Kawites, and the Yabusites, which he swore to your fathers to give you, a land flowing with milk and honey, that you shall keep this service in the new month.
Barak Yahuwah. Now, I bring your attention to again, they ate unleavened bread. They ate physical unleavened bread. They ate it and they partook of the lamb. They ate it. Pay attention to this. They ate unleavened bread, physical bread, and they ate a physical lamb. They ate a physical lamb. Yes, they did. They obeyed the instructions. They obeyed the letter. But I tell you again, the letter going to kill you. It is the Ruach who gives life. The letter is going to kill you. It is the Ruach who gives life. They ate leaven and they partook of the lamb. But 600,000 of them died, not counting the women and the little ones. Indeed, there is a great separation going on in the midst of the earth. Separate unto me all the firstborn, both of man and beast. Indeed, there is a great separation going on. Come on, read, little one.
7 days you eat unleavened bread.
And they did.
And on the 7th day is a festival to Yahuwah. Unleavened bread is to be eaten in the 7 days, and whatever is leaven is not to be seen with you. And leaven is not to be seen with you within all your borders. And you shall inform your son in that day, saying, it is because of what Yahuwah did for me when I came up from Mitzrayim. And it shall be as a sign to you on your hand and as a reminder between your eyes, that the Torah of Yahuwah is to be in your mouth. For with a strong hand Yahuwah has brought you out of Mitzrayim.
With a strong hand, he goes and he binds the strong man, and he plunders his goods. The separated Ruach does, the separated spirit, and separates light from darkness. Come on.
And you shall guard this statue at its appointed time from year to year. And it shall be when Yahuwah brings you into the land of the Canaanites, as he swore to you and your father, and gives it to you, that you shall give over to Yahuwah every one opening the womb and every firstborn that comes from your livestock. The males belong to Yahuwah, but every firstborn of a donkey you are to ransom with a lamb. And if you do not ransom it, then you shall break its neck. And every firstborn of man among your sons you are to ransom.
But every firstborn among your sons you are to redeem. You are to redeem. He only redeems firstborn sons. You've heard this. He only redeems firstborn sons. He is not flesh and blood. He is not flesh and blood. He is Ruach. And his sons and his daughters are not of flesh and blood. They're not born of flesh and blood, but who are reborn of water and of Ruach, who have truly partaken of the Passover lamb, who have truly partaken of the bread, the living bread from heaven, the unleavened bread. These are his children. These are the firstborn. These are those of whom he redeems. These are those of whom he's leading to his Kadosh mountain, of whom he is going to redeem from the earth and deliver from the hour of trial, which is soon to come upon the whole world. Come on, read, little one.
Yeah, Exodus 19, the whole chapter.
Exodus 19, now the whole chapter. Exodus 19, the whole chapter. Exodus 19, the whole chapter. You all right, little one?
Oh, yeah, fine.
Exodus 19, the whole chapter. The whole chapter, beginning at verse 1.
And in the 3rd new month, after the children of Yasharal had come out of the land of Mitzrayim.
In the 3rd new month. Now we are at Shabuah-Ut. Shabuah-Ut is always in the 3rd month and on the 14th day. Shabuah-Ut is always the day in which Yahuwah renews his covenant with his people. It is the day in which he renews his covenant with his people. And so now they are here at the mountain in which he promised Moshe that on this mountain, after he has delivered them from the hand of Pharaoh, after he's delivered them from the kingdom of darkness, from the reign of darkness, he's going to bring them here to this Kadosh mountain where they're going to worship him. And now in the 3rd month, on the 14th day here, we find them at Mount Sinai. We find them at Mount Sinai. Come on and read, little one.
On this day they came to the wilderness of Sinai, for they set out from Raphadim and had come to the wilderness of Sinai, and camped in the wilderness. So Yasharal camped there before the mountain. And Moshe went up to Elohim, and Yahuwah called to him from the mountain, saying, This is what you are to say to the house of Yaakov, and to declare to the children of Yasharal. You have seen what I did to the Mitzrites, and how I bore you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself. And now if you diligently obey my voice and shall guard my covenant, then you shall be my treasured possession above all the peoples. For all the earth is mine, and you shall be to me a reign of priests and a Kadosh nation. Those are are the words which you are to speak to the children of Yasharal. And Moshe came and called for the elders of the people and set before them all these words which Yahuwah commanded him. And all the people answered together and said, all that Yahuwah has spoken, we shall do. So Moshe brought back the words of the people to Yahuwah. And Yahuwah said to Moshe, see, I am coming to you in the thick cloud, so that the people, when I speak with you and believe you forever. And Moshe reported the words of the people to Yahuwah. And Yahuwah said to Moshe, go to the people and kadosh them.
Wait, go to the people and separate them. Wait a minute, teacher. Wait a minute, messenger. They already ate unleavened bread. They already ate the Passover lamb. What do you mean separate them? What do you mean separate them? Yes, separate them. Pay attention. Pay attention. Eating physical lamb, eating physical unleavened bread does not separate you. That does not separate us. As we read earlier, it is the separated spirit, the separated ruach, him alone who separates us, who separates light from darkness. It is he and he alone who separates us. We must partake of him. We must partake of him. He is the Passover lamb. He is the unleavened bread. We must partake of him. So now he sends them down. They have partaken of unleavened bread. They have partaken of the Passover lamb. Now go down and separate the people, Moshe. Separate them unto me. How does he say to separate them, little one?
And they shall wash their garments.
And they shall wash their garments. I pray that you understand that it ain't about some physical water of washing your garments. That these are simple instructions. These are childlike instructions to teach his people deeper spiritual matters. The Hebrew word for water is ma'im. Ma'im. And it begins with the Hebrew letter mom, which is always representative of water, which is always a representation of spirit, of ruach. It is the ruach who cleanses us. It is the ruach who separates us. But he's giving these people, our ancestors, children, simple, childlike instructions, who had just come out of bondage, who have just come out of Egypt. He's giving them childlike instructions to teach them deeper spiritual matters. It ain't about washing your clothes. There ain't enough tide in the world to make you clean, to make us clean. It is only the separated ruach who cleanses us and who separates us unto Yahuwah, who separates us from darkness and brings us into his marvelous light. I pray you're paying attention. Only the separated ruach. If you didn't partake of that Pesach, you didn't partake of the Pesach. If you didn't partake of him doing unleavened bread, you have not partaken of unleavened bread. He tells them to wash the garments, which is symbolic of ruach, of separating them unto Yahuwah, so that they are found worthy to come before him. Come on, read, little one.
And shall be prepared by the third day.
Yes.
For on the third day Yahuwah shall come down upon Mount Sinai before the eyes of all the people. And you shall make a border for the people all around.
Wait a minute. You shall make a border for the people. Why?
Saying, take heed to yourselves
yes.
that you do not go up to the mountain.
Whoa, that you do not go up to the mountain. Wait a minute. You've partaken of the Passover lamb. You've eaten unleavened bread. You washing your clothes. Why can't I go up the mountain? Why can't they go up? Why can't they not even touch the mountain? Because it is the separated ruach who separates, not a lamb chop sandwich. Not a lamb chop sandwich. The separated ruach is the Passover lamb. He is unleavened bread. And so they had partaken of the physical. They had physically washed their clothes according to the letter. They had physically eaten the lamb according to the letter. And physically eaten the unleavened bread according to the letter. But there was still a border that they could not go beyond. They could not go up the mountain. They could not touch the mountain because they were not separated. They were not separated. They did not understand what you and I now understand. Come on, read, little one.
Or touch the border of it. Whoever touches the mountain shall certainly be put to death.
Shall certainly die. Come on.
Not a hand is to touch it, but he shall certainly be stoned or shot with an arrow, whether man or beast.
Yes.
He shall not live. When the Yabal sounds long, let them come near the mountain. And Moshe came down from the mountain to the people, and kadushed the people, and they washed their garments.
And separated them, and they washed their garments. I pray you understand, it ain't about washing your garments. Not your physical garments, your spiritual garments, and which the Ruach HaKadosh alone, the living water. The living water. He is the living water. The Ruach HaKadosh is the living water who washes us and separates us. This is what is going on in the earth. This whole process. This whole process. If you have eyes to see and ears to hear and a heart to understand, is going on right in our midst right now. In the spiritual realm. In the spiritual realm. Come on, read, little one.
And he said to the people, be prepared by the third day. Do not come near a wife. And it came to be on the third day in the morning that there
and for those Pharisees, coming together with your wife doesn't make you unclean. That don't separate us from Yahuwah. The Torah says one that comes together with his wife, they're to be separated until evening, and they're to bathe with water, so as to teach us to make a distinction between the clean and the unclean, and to show us how it is sin, how it is crime, how it is uncleanness that separates us from our Father. Coming together with your wife, don't do that. Don't do that. Oh, the letter gonna kill you. The letter gonna kill you dead. Come on, little one, read.
That there were thunders and lightnings and a thick cloud on the mountain, and a voice of a shofar was very strong, and all the people who were in the camp trembled. And Moshe brought the people out of the camp to meet with Elohim, and they stood at the foot of the mountain. And Mount Sinai was in smoke, all of it, because Yahuwah descended upon it in fire, and its smoke went up like the smoke of a furnace, and all the mountain trembled exceedingly. And when a voice of the shofar sounded long and became very strong, Moshe spoke, and Elohim answered him by voice. And Yahuwah came down upon Mount Sinai on the top of the mountain. And Yahuwah called Moshe to the top of the mountain. And Moshe went up. And Yahuwah said to Moshe, go down and warn the people, lest they break through unto Yahuwah to see, and many of them fall. And let the priests who come near Yahuwah set themselves apart too, lest Yahuwah break out against them. And Moshe said to Yahuwah, the people are not able to come up to Mount Sinai, for you warned us, saying, make a border around the mountain and kadush it. And Yahuwah said to him, come, go down, and then come up, you and Aharon with you. But do not let the priest and the people break through to come up to Yahuwah, lest he break out against them. And Moshe went down to the people and spoke to them.
Barak Yahuwah. Now, he gives instructions to Moshe. First of all, let's go back now. This is the mountain in which he promised Moshe that he was going to bring his people after they came out of the land of Egypt, after they came out of the land of Mashraim, he's going to bring them there to worship him. They then partook of a physical lamb. They partook of physical bread. They even washed their clothes with physical water. Yet, he gave further instructions to Moshe to make a border around the mountain. Don't let the people come near. Don't let them touch the mountain, lest they die. Lest they die. Such as to show them it is not that lamb that separates you. It is not that unleavened bread that separates you. It is not the physical washing of your clothes that separates you. It is me. It is I who separates light from darkness. It is my Ruach who separates light from darkness. It is the separated spirit who separates light from darkness. And you must partake of him. He is the Pasach. He is the unleavened bread. You must partake of him. Moshe had partook of him. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Aharon had partook of him. So they could go up the mountain. They could, yes, they did. Did they not go up the mountain?
Yes, sir.
Yes, they did. They could go up the mountain. But the rest of the people could not touch it, lest they die. Do you not understand that it is his desire, that it was and is his desire that we all go up that mountain? You have the understanding that they didn't have. You have the opportunity to go up the mountain. You have that opportunity. You have a unique opportunity in this Muadah, in this appointed time, to truly partake of the Pasach, to truly partake of the unleavened bread, to truly partake of the living water, who washes us, who washes the inner cup, and who separates. Yes, behold, he does a great separation, so that not unlike them, our ancestors, in which there was a border around the mountain, not unlike them, we will be able to ascend the mountain, and worship him on his Kadush mountain. Come on, read, little one, chapter 20, I believe.
Yep. And Elohim spoke all these words, saying, I am Yahuwah your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim, out of the house of slavery. You have no other mighty ones against my face. You do not make for yourself a carved image or any likeness of that which is in heaven above, or which is in the earth beneath, or which is in the waters under the earth. You do not bow down to them nor serve them. For I am Yahuwah your Elohim, am a jealous all, visiting the crookedness of the fathers on the children to the third and fourth generation of those who hate me, but showing loving commitment to thousands, to those who love me and guard my commands. You do not bring the name of Yahuwah your Elohim to naught, for Yahuwah does not leave the one unpunished who brings his name to naught. Remember the Shabbat day to Kadush it. 6 days you labor and shall do your work, but the 7th day is a Shabbat of Yahuwah your Elohim. You do not do any work, you, nor your son, nor your daughter, nor your male servant, nor your female servant, nor your cattle, nor your stranger who is within your gates. For in 6 days Yahuwah made the heavens and the earth, the sea and all that is in them, and rested the 7th day. Therefore Yahuwah Baruch the Sabbath day and Kadushed it. Respect your father and your mother, so that your days are prolonged upon the soil which Yahuwah your Elohim is giving you. You do not murder. You do not commit adultery. You do not steal. You do not bear false witness against your neighbor. You do not covet your neighbor's house. You do not covet your neighbor's wife, nor his male servant, nor his female servant, nor his ox, nor his donkey, or whatever belongs to your neighbor. And all the people saw the thunders, the lightning flashes, the voice of the shofar, and the mountain smoking. And the people saw it, and they trembled and stood at a distance, and said to Moshe, you speak with us, and we hear. But let not Elohim speak with us, lest we die. And Moshe said to the people, do not fear, for Elohim has come to prove you, and in order that his fear be before you, so that you do not commit crime. So the people stood at a distance, but Moshe drew near the thick darkness.
But Moshe drew near. But Moshe drew near, because Moshe was separated. Moshe had partaken of the Pasach lamb. Yes, he had. Yes, he had. He had partaken of the unleavened bread. Yes, he had. He had partaken of the living water. Yes, he had. And he went up and he ascended and he was allowed to approach Elohim, whereas the rest of them could not even touch the border of the mountain, because they had partaken of the physical bread and the physical lamb, and they had physically washed their garments. You see, that's what many go to do at Pasach. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. That's what many go to do. But unless you are partaking of Ruach, of spirit, you did not partake of the Pasach lamb. If you did not partake of Ruach, the spirit, you did not partake of the unleavened bread. And your garments have not been washed by the living water, and your heart has not been circumcised. And you can't go up the mountain. This is that great separation that is going on right before our eyes. This story continues. It continues. Right now, real time, in the spirit realm, in the Ruach realm, this story continues. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Come on, read, little one.
And Yahuwah said to Moshe, say this to the children of Yasharal. You yourselves have seen that I have spoken to you from the heavens. You do not make besides me mighty ones of silver, and you do not make mighty ones of gold for yourselves. Make a slaughter place of earth for me, and you shall slaughter on it your ascending offerings and your shalom offerings, your sheep and your cattle. In every place where I cause my name to be remembered, I shall come to you and baruch you. And if you make me a slaughter place of stone, do not build it of cut stone. For if you use your chisel on it, you have profaned it. Nor do you go up by steps to my slaughter place, lest your nakedness be exposed on it.
Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. So they had gone through the preliminaries. They had received the instructions, the letter, which is given to children to teach us deeper spiritual matters. They had partaken of the lamb. They had partaken of the unleavened bread. They had washed their garments. But the only one who was able to go up was Aharon and Masha. They alone were separated. They alone had the separated spirit separated, and thus allowing them to ascend the mountain. And thus, if we have not partaken of the true Pasach lamb, which is Ruach, and the true unleavened bread, which is Ruach, and have truly been washed with the living water, we cannot ascend his Kadosh mountain. And he's separating a people right now in the midst of the earth. To whomever is under the sound of my voice, who have eyes to see and ears to hear, he is separating you. He is separating you right now. And he has spoken to his servant that he's coming soon. That he's coming soon to gather his people, his separated people. He's coming to get us and to bring us to his Kadosh mountain. In Exodus 19, he says, if you do this, if you obey me, you will be my treasured possession. Above all people, above the earth, you will be a nation of priests. Do you not understand that the 144,000 that are going to ascend that mountain, are priests? They're all priests. All who are going to ascend that mountain are priests, are his separated people, who have been separated from the flesh, who have been separated by his separated spirit from darkness and brought into his marvelous light, and who have truly partaken of the Pasach and have truly partaken of unleavened bread. Barak Yahuwah, where we at? Exodus 24? Mm-hmm. Exodus 24. We're almost done. Exodus 24. Exodus 24. Beginning at verse 1. Come on, read, little one.
And to Masha he said, come up to Yahuwah, you and Aharon, Nadab and Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Yasharal.
So come up, Masha, Aharon, and the priests, and 70 of the elders, who obviously were separated. Come on, read.
And you shall bow yourself from a distance. But Masha shall draw near to Yahuwah by himself.
But Masha shall draw near by himself. Come on.
And let them not draw near, nor let the people go up with him. And Masha came and related to the people all the words of Yahuwah and all the right rulings. And all the people answered with one voice and said, all the words which Yahuwah has spoken, we shall do.
And like Masha, he wants us to be like Masha. He wants all of us to ascend the mountain and to come into his presence. He wants all of us to ascend the mountain and come into his presence. Not just one, but he wants all of us to ascend and to come into his presence. But we must have partaken of the Pasach and of the unleavened bread, which is Ruach. Come on, read, little one.
And Masha went down, wrote down all the words of Yahuwah, and rose up early in the morning and built a slaughter place at the foot of the mountain, and 12 standing columns from the 12 tribes of Yasharal. And he sent young men of the children of Yasharal, and they offered ascending offerings and slaughterings of shalom offerings to Yahuwah of bulls. And Masha took half the blood and put it in basins, and half the blood he sprinkled on the slaughter place. And he took the book of the covenant and read it in the hearing of the people. And they said, all that Yahuwah has spoken we shall do and obey. And Masha took the blood and sprinkled it on the people and said, see the blood of the covenant which Yahuwah has made with you concerning all these words.
See the blood of the covenant which Yahuwah has made with you. So physical blood, physical dung was sprinkled upon them. Now we understand, those of us who have understanding, that the blood is a representation of what? Of Ruach. It is Yahusha. It is life. It is a representation of Ruach. Yet they had blood, the dam of the covenant, sprinkled upon them. Now the dam of the covenant is not necessarily on us, it is in us. Did he not say, drink my blood? Did he not say that? The dam of the covenant is in us because the dam of the covenant is Ruach. So they had physical dung sprinkled upon them, yet they still could not go beyond the border. At least they died. At least they died. They still could not go beyond the border. At least they died. I pray to someone who has eyes to see and ears to hear and a heart to understand that you hear the words of Yahuwah being spoken through his servant, that this is happening real time all over again. It won't be soon. It won't be long before he comes to gather his people, to bring us to his Kadush mountain. Come on, read, little one.
And Moshe went up also Aharon, Nadab, and Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Yasharal. And they saw the Elohim of Yasharal, and under his feet like a paved work of sapphire stone, and like the heavens for brightness. Yet he did not stretch out his hand against the chiefs of the children of Yasharal. And they saw Elohim, and they ate and drank. And Yahuwah said to Moshe, come up to me on the mountain, and be there while I give you tablets of stone, and the Torah and the command which I have written to teach them. And Moshe arose with his assistant Yahusha, and Moshe went up to the mountain of Elohim.
You can stop right there. I'm not going to have you read that whole thing. For the sake of time, I'm not going to have you read that whole thing. The point has been made. The point has been made. Moshe was allowed to go. Moshe was separated. But it is Yahuwah's desire that we all be separated and that we all come into his presence and ascend his Kadush mountain. And to ascend his Kadush mountain. The ladder ain't going to get us there. A lamb chop sandwich is not going to get us there. Only the separated spirit, the separated Ruach, who alone separates light from darkness, who alone delivers us from the hand, a strong hand, from the hand of Hashatan, and brings us into its marvelous light, who alone makes us unleavened, who alone separates us as firstborn. He alone separates us as firstborn and allows us to ascend his Kadush mountain. Come on, little one.
Got Revelation 7, 1 through 8.
Revelation 7, we're rounding the corner now. We're rounding the corner. Revelation 7, verses 1 through 8. Revelation 7, verses 1 through 8. Revelation 7, verses 1 through 8. Beginning at verse 1. Read, little one.
And after this I saw 4 messengers standing at the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. And I saw another messenger coming up from the rising of the sun, holding the seal of the living Elohim.
Holding the Ruach HaKadosh. Come on.
And he cried with a loud voice to the 4 messengers to whom it was given to harm the earth and the sea, saying, do not harm the earth, nor the sea, nor the trees, until we have sealed the servants of our Elohim upon their foreheads. And I heard the number of those who were sealed, 144,000 sealed out of the tribes of the children of Yasharal. Out of the tribes of Yehuda, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Rabban, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Gad, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Asher, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Naphtali, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Manasseh, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Shemaun, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Lewi, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Yashakar, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Zabulun, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Yahusa, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Benjamin, 12,000 were sealed.
Barak Yahuwah, Barak Yahuwah. Come on, come on.
Okay, Revelation 14, 1 through 5.
Revelation 14, verses 1 through 5.
And I looked and saw a lamb.
Wait, Revelation 14, verses 1 through 5. Revelation 14, verses 1 through 5. Beginning at verse 1. Come on.
And I looked and saw a lamb standing on Mount Zion, and with him 144,000.
I saw the Pasach lamb, Yahuwah, who is Ruach, Yahusha, standing on the mountain. No different than him ascending on Mount Sinai. No different than him ascending on Mount Sinai. But there is a difference. There is one major difference. You see, Mount Sinai represents the earthly. Mount Sinai represents the flesh. They weren't separated. They weren't born of Ruach, so they could not come near the mountain. Mount Sinai represents bondage. It represents the flesh. It represents slavery. Mount Zion is not of this earth. Mount Zion is not of this earth. And we cannot ascend Mount Zion in flesh. We cannot ascend Mount Zion if we have not truly partaken of the Pasach and truly partaken of unleavened bread. We cannot ascend it if we have not been separated by the separated spirit from light, from darkness unto light. It is not of this earth. Mount Zion is not of this earth. Begin at verse 1 again, little one.
And I looked and saw a lamb standing on Mount Zion, and with him 144,000.
This is the mountain in which he's calling for us to worship him on. Not Mount Sinai, But this one, he's calling a separated people who have been separated by the separated spirit to come to this mountain and worship him. Come on, read.
Having his Father's name written upon their foreheads.
Yes.
And I heard a voice out of heaven, like the voice of many waters, and like the voice of loud thunder.
Yes.
And I heard the sound of harpists playing their harps. And they sang a renewed song before the throne, and before 4 living creatures and the elders. And no one was able to learn that song except the 144,000 who were redeemed from the earth.
Who were what?
Who were redeemed from the earth.
Mount Zion is not of the earth. It is not of the earth. You ain't going to get there by eating a lamb chop sandwich or physical bread or taking a bath. You're not going to get there. You must partake of Ruach. You must partake of the true Pasach and the true unleavened bread and be washed with true living water in order to get there. You must be separated. By the separated Ruach, indeed, he does a great separation in the midst of the earth, where he's separating his people to bring us out of darkness into his marvelous light, which is Passover, which is what Passover is all about. And unleavened bread is all about. To bring us to his Kadosh mountain, to worship him. Mount Zion is not of the earth. Come on, read.
There are those who were not defiled with women, for they are maidens. There are those following the Lamb wherever he leads them on. They were redeemed from among men, being first fruits to Elohim.
They were redeemed from among men, being first fruits to Elohim.
And to the Lamb.
And to the Lamb.
And in their mouth was found no falsehood, for they are blameless before the throne of Elohim.
This is his treasured possession. These are priests, a treasured possession. Those who are separated unto him, like Masha, separated unto him, and they were found on Mount Zion. They are found on Mount Zion, being able to ascend the mountain and not being held back by a border, but able to ascend Mount Zion because they have been separated from darkness and brought into his marvelous light by his separated spirit. Come on, read, little one.
Psalms 24, 1 through 10.
Psalms 24, verse 1 through 10. Psalms 24, verse 1 through 10. Psalms 24, verse 1 through 10. Come on, read, little one.
The earth belongs to Yahuwah and all that fills it.
Yes.
The world and those who dwell in it.
Yes.
For he has founded it upon the seas and upon the waters he does establish it. Who does go up into the mountain of Yahuwah?
Who does go up? Who does go up? Who does ascend into the mountain of Yahuwah? Read.
And who does stand in his Kadosh place?
And who does stand in his Kadosh place?
He who has innocent hands and a clean heart, who did not bring his life to naught, and did not swear deceivingly. He receives a barakah from Yahuwah.
Yes, he who is separated. Come on.
And righteousness from the Elohim of his deliverance. This is the generation of those who seek him.
This is the generation of those who seek him. Read.
Yaakov, who seek your face, Salah. Lift up your head, O ye gates, and be lifted up, you everlasting doors, and let the sovereign of esteem come in. Who is the sovereign of esteem? Yahuwah strong and mighty, Yahuwah mighty in battle. Lift up your head, O ye gates, even lift up, you everlasting doors, and let the sovereign of esteem come in. Who is the sovereign of esteem? Yahuwah of hosts, he is the sovereign of esteem.
Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. Only the separated are going to be able to ascend his Kadosh mountain. Come on, give us another precept, little one.
Ezekiel 28, 12 to 19.
Ezekiel 28. Ezekiel, Yakaskal 28. Ezekiel 28, verses 12 through 19. Write it down. Ezekiel 28, verses 12 through 19. Beginning at verse 12. Come on, read, little one.
Son of man, take up a lamentation for the sovereign of Zur. And you shall say to him, thus saith the master Yahuwah. You are sealing up a pattern, complete in wisdom and perfection, perfect in loveliness. You are in Adon, the garden of Elohim.
You are in Adon, the garden of Elohim. Read.
Every precious stone was your covering.
Every precious stone was your covering. Here we're talking about Hashatan, who was a high priest, who was the high priest of Yahuwah, and which he has ordained us to replace. And this is why he hates us. This is one reason why he hates us. He was created to be a Kahan Gadol, a high priest, in which he created us to replace him. And he was in the garden of Adon. Where else was he at, little one? Come on, read.
was your covering. The ruby, topaz, diamond, beryl, shoham,
Yeah.
jasper, sapphire.
The breastplate of a priest. Come on.
Turquoise, emerald, and gold.
Mm-hmm.
The workmanship of your settings and mountings were prepared for you on the day you were created. You were the anointed cherub that covered.
You were the anointed cherub, not a anointed cherub, not an anointed cherub. He was the anointed cherub. Indeed, are not priests anointed? Yes, they are. Yes, they are. He was a priest in which he has created us to replace him. And it is only priests who are going to ascend his Kadosh mountain. Those who are anointed, who have been separated. Come on, read, little one.
And I placed you. You were on the Kadosh mountain of Elohim.
You were where?
You were on the Kadosh mountain of Elohim.
You were on the Kadosh mountain of Elohim. It is not of this earth. It is not of this earth. He is coming to redeem a separated people, his firstborn from amongst men, from amongst the earth, and bring them to his Kadosh mountain where we will worship him. This is taking place in the Ruach realm. But if all of you are concerned with is a lamb chop sandwich and some physical bread and some desserts and some drinks and some laughter and some company, then you've missed it. You've missed it. And you have not truly partaken of the Pasach, nor of unleavened bread. He was on his Kadosh mountain as a priest, and this 144,000 are all priests who were redeemed from the earth, being separated, being anointed, worshiping their Elohim, singing a song that no one else can sing. This is taking place. This story is taking place right now in the Ruach realm. For all who have eyes to see, and ears to hear, and a heart to understand. Come on, read, little one.
You walked up and down in the midst of stones of fire. You were perfect in your ways from the day you were created until unrighteousness was found in you. By the greatness of your trade, you became filled with violence within, and you committed crime. So I thrust you from the mountain of Elohim.
So I thrust you from the mountain of Elohim. This is Mount Zion. This is Mount Zion. This is Mount Zion, which is not of the earth. Come on.
And I destroyed you, O covering cherub, from the midst of the stones of fire. Your heart was lifted up because of your loveliness. You corrupted your wisdom for the sake of your splendor. I threw you to the earth and laid you before sovereigns to look at you. You profaned your Kadosh places by your many crookedness, by the unrighteousness of your trading. Therefore I brought forth fire from your midst. It has devoured you, and I turned you to ashes upon the earth before the eyes of all who see you. All who know you among the people were astonished at you. Waste you shall be and cease to be forever.
The mountain of Elohim is not of this earth. Mount Sinai represents the earthly realm. It represents the flesh. It represents bondage. And thus, even though they had partaken of the lamb and eaten of the unleavened bread and physically washed their garments, they could not go beyond the borders. That was a mere shadow of the true mountain of Elohim, in which he wants us to ascend and worship him. He wants us to ascend and worship him. And worship him. I think I have a note there, little one.
Yes.
What does it say?
The Kadosh mountain is not of this earth.
The Kadosh mountain, the separated mountain of Yahuwah, is not of this earth.
We cannot ascend it by merely partaking of physical unleavened
We
bread.
cannot ascend it by merely partaking of physical unleavened bread or a physical lamb chop.
We can only ascend by partaking of Ruach.
We can only ascend it by partaking of the true Pasach and true unleavened bread, which is Ruach. Which is Ruach. This is what he's trying to get this generation to understand. And it is my prayer that someone across the whole earth who is going to listen to this video later on, and someone amongst this Zoom family, it is my prayer that someone gets this, that you get this, and that a sense of urgency is stirred up in you, that his Ruach is stirred up in you, and that you began to understand, and that you began to see, and that you began to seek him unlike you've ever sought him before. Come on, read, little one. What we got left?
We just got two. Galatians 4:21 through 31.
Galatians 4:21 through 31. We're going to read this and one more, and then we're done. Barak Yahuwah.
Say to me, you who wish to be under Torah, do you not hear the Torah? Where it has been written that Abraham had 2 sons, one by a female servant, the other by a free woman. But he who was of the female servant was born according to the flesh.
According to the flesh, yes.
And he of the free woman through promise.
Yes.
This is allegorical.
Yes.
But these are the 2 covenants. One indeed from Mount Sinai.
One indeed from Mount Sinai, which represents the flesh. Which represents the flesh. Thus they could not ascend. Only Moshe could ascend alone, but there were others that he allowed to go so far because they were separated. Mount Sinai represents the flesh. It is a shadow of Mount Zion, a shadow of the renewed covenant. Remember, this is the sign, YAHUAH, that you are my covenant people. I'm going to bring you to this mountain where you're going to worship me. I'm going to bring my covenant people to this mountain where you will worship me. It is a shadow of Mount Zion where he's going to bring his covenant people, his true covenant people, who have partaken of Ruach, who have truly partaken of the Pasach and of unleavened bread, and have truly been washed in the living water. This is the sign that we are his covenant people, and he is going to bring us to his Kadesh mountain, where we will be given a song that no one else can sing, and not like them, we will be able to ascend. We will be able to ascend. Come on, read, little one.
Which brings forth slavery, which is Hagar. For this Hagar is Mount Sinai in Arabia.
This Hagar is Mount Sinai. It represents slavery. It represents the flesh. It represents the flesh. It is a mere shadow. A mere shadow. It is the letter. It is a mere shadow of Mount Zion. Come on, read.
And corresponds to Jerusalem.
Yes.
Which now is.
Yes.
Is in slavery with her children. But the Jerusalem above is free, which is the mother of us all.
Yes.
For it has been written, rejoice, O barren, you who do not bear. Break forth and shout, you who do not have birth pains. For the deserted one has many more children than she who has a husband. And we brothers, as Ishkak was, are children of the promise.
Are children of the promise, are children of Ruach, are children of the separated Ruach, born from above, not born from below, having partaken of the true Pasach, and having partaken of the bread that came down from heaven, the true unleavened bread. Come on, read.
But as he who was born according to the flesh, and persecuted him born according to the root, so also now. But what does the scripture say? Cast out the female servant and her son. For the son of the female servant shall by no means be heir with the son of the free one.
Those of the flesh could not ascend Mount Sinai. And those of the flesh are not going to be able to ascend Mount Zion. Come on, read.
Therefore, brothers, we are not children of the female servant.
No.
But of the free woman.
But of the free woman. Born from above. Provided that you're born from above. Provided that you have partaken of the true Pasach, which is Ruach. Provided that you've partaken of the true unleavened bread, which is Ruach. Provided that you've partaken of the true living water, which is Ruach. We got one more precept, little one.
Hebrews 5:12 to 14.
Hebrews 5:12 through 14. Hebrews 5:12 through 14.
For indeed, although by this time you ought to be teachers.
For indeed, by this time, you, and I'm pointing the finger to you and to those of you on YouTube, you ought to be teachers. Read.
You need someone to teach you again.
You need someone to teach you again.
The first elements of the words of Elohim.
The first elements of the words of Elohim.
And you have become such as need milk and not solid food.
And you have become such as need milk and not solid food.
For everyone partaking of milk is inexperienced in the word of righteousness.
For everyone partaking of milk is inexperienced in the word of righteousness.
For he is a babe.
For he is a babe.
But solid food is for the mature.
But solid food is for the mature. Strong meat is for the mature. And so if you are mature, you have received strong meat this day. If you are a babe, and this meat may be too strong for you, but I pray that you'll watch it again. And I pray that it has been spoken through his servant in such a way that even if you are a babe, that you have been able to understand.
Whose senses have been trained by practice to discern both good and evil.
Whose senses have been trained to discern both good and evil. This is strong meat that you have received this day. And it goes out to the four corners of the earth, to those who have an appetite for strong meat, who are not vegetarians, and who have graduated from milk This is strong meat for you at a mu'adah, at an appointed time, at an unprecedented time, in which very soon Yahuwah is coming to get his people. Master Yahuwah, your servant has spoken your word.
Yes, Master.
I know, Master, that your word will not return void. I know that it won't return void. I know many are called, but few are chosen. I know that some will not come, and your servant will not mourn. I'm merely a servant, merely a vessel, speaking your words. But for those of whom you've given eyes to see, and ears to hear, and a heart to understand, I pray that this word is sunk deep into the innermost portions, the innermost beings of their heart. I pray that it has sunk down even into their kidneys, into their kilyah, such that it will give them a sense of urgency unlike ever before. I pray that this word has gone forth like a two-edged sword, that it's cut, that it has cut asunder, that it has convicted, that it has caused some to be deeply, deeply convicted, that it has cut clothes off and caused the nakedness to be exposed, such as to cause your people to fall before your feet, where they will receive forgiveness and where they will receive covering for their nakedness. Let not this word return void to you. Let not this word fall by the wayside. Let not this word fall among stony ground, and let not this word fall among thorns. But for those who you've given eyes to see and ears to hear and a heart to understand, let this word fall upon fertilized, tilled, fertile soil, such that your living water, the living water of the Ruach HaKadosh, the separated spirit, will come and water that word, that seed, such that it grows up to become a mighty tree, producing the fruit that leads to everlasting life. In the name of Yahushua HaMashiach, our Master, so be it. For those of you who are on YouTube, we thank you once again. We're grateful that you've joined Yahuwah's Remnant. We pray that this word has convicted you. We pray that this word has edified you. Some of you are going to be partaking of Pesach next week. It is the wrong week. It is the wrong week. It indeed is the wrong week. It indeed is. But if you're going to partake of Pesach the next week, I pray that you're taking this word to heart. And I pray that it has indeed convicted you and edified you, and that you're going to approach Pesach the correct way, and that you're going to seek the true Pesach lamb, which is Ruach, and that you're going to seek the true unleavened bread, which is Ruach. Until the next time, Yahuwah barak you and guard you. Yahuwah make his face shine upon you and show favor unto you. Yahuwah lift up his face upon you and give you shalom. Thus you shall put my name on the children of Yasha'al, and I myself shall barak them. So be it, so be it, so be it. Shalom.